All right, welcome to the Digital X Series August edition 2025. If you're just joining us for the first time, our tradition here is every time we are introducing the series, we are introducing the speaker, we do well to use our emojis to show that, oh, we are excited, right? We are right there and we are paying attention. So I'm coming up once again. Welcome to the Digital Edge Series August edition 2025, a monthly webinar and workshop on digital skills and industry trends. For each webinar, we always have experienced and knowledgeable speakers on board. For more clarification, you can check out our YouTube channel at Legacy Lab NG. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification for more updates. You can also check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. The person behind this voice is the earth to the most. Coming up next is our speaker for tonight, Cynthia Duru, a DevOps Engineer at Visa, and she's going to be enlightening us on the topic from engineering to leadership, thriving as a woman in tech. You are highly welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Omowumi. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. So my name is Cynthia Udoka Duru. I currently work with Visa Europe as a senior DevOps engineer. So I'm going to, talk a little bit about myself, my experience, and then I'll dive into the topic of the day. So if you have any questions, I may not be looking at the chat, so just go ahead and unmute yourself and interrupt me. Feel free at any time. So basically, like I said, my name is Cynthia. I'm currently working with Visa as a DevOps engineer. I also have co-founded a tech company with, some of my colleagues. We are currently working on an ed tech solution as well as other technological solutions. So I've actually been in the tech field for quite a while now, more than a decade. And actually, it's a privilege to, every time I have the opportunity to speak to people like this, I find it a privilege to be able to share my experiences, and hopefully my experience to be able to, help your own experience in the future. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen pretty quickly. So let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see your screen, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay, so just in case you have never seen my face, I'm gonna turn on my video as well, so you can put a face to the name. So this is me, and that's also me right on your screen. Okay, great. So I can see a couple of female names here. So I believe there's quite a number of women here who are maybe currently in tech, and those who are within tech and trying to, transition from one level to the other, from one career path to the other. So you're all welcome. So today I'm going to be talking about thriving in tech, thriving as a woman in tech, right? Being able to, transition from an engineering position into leadership, right? And there's quite a lot of, conversation around this topic. In the past couple of years, not many people understand why the number of women in tech, is, there's been some increase in the past few years, but when I started my career back in 2014, 2015, not too many women were in tech. As a matter of fact, not too many people were in tech, right? So basically, I started my career in Abuja. I was working in a tech firm where I was a software engineer, and the The funny thing was we had over 15 it was a male dominated space at that time. So we had over 15 engineers who were male, and I was the only female in their midst. So it was really funny at that time because there was no one I could turn to who understood, how I felt at that point and what it felt like to be in the midst of a lot of guys, especially times where we're having like tech stand-ups and all of that, right? You find yourself in the midst of guys, and it's very difficult sometimes to be able to pass your thoughts because they're guys, right? It doesn't feel the same way. So this was like far back 2015, 2014, right? So fast forward to today, you can literally see that there has been a change in the trend, right? And the reason for this change, I believe, the top on the list of the reason is because there's been some kind of awareness creation, right? In the past couple of years, a lot of women have been advocating for other women to jump into tech, to get into tech, and also thrive in tech, because women never really believed that it was an opportunity. Tech was an opportunity for them as well. So there's a lot of things I'd like to uncover today, right? I have something as well for the beginners, those who are young women who want to come into tech, who maybe don't even have any technical experience, who want to find their foot in tech. It's fine. I have something as well for you. But I'll majorly be speaking to those who are already in tech and want to move from their technical position to, other aspects of tech, especially in leadership or management. Okay. Um, all right. So I'm going to show us a graph which represents the tech workforce, right, as at 2025. So if you look at this clearly, you see that the global tech workforce is about 28% women. Okay, so you can imagine in the tech or in a male-dominated space, you have just 28% women trying to thrive in tech. And then if you look at computing jobs, we have about 25% women. And then the mid-career attrition, you realize that 56% of women, when they get to their peak, when they get to the peak of their career, they tend to drop out, right? And this is statistics for 2025. So studies have shown that over 56% will drop out halfway through their careers. And if you look at engineering roles, you see that there are 15% of women who are currently occupying engineering roles, right? So what does that tell you? It tells you that not many women are actually in tech. It might look like it today, but then it's still a male-dominated space. And every day we're doing as much as possible, to get more women to jump into tech, to get into tech, to see the opportunities that are available in this space. And the last one is the tech startups with women leaders. You can literally see that we have over 50%. And this is not just women who own tech startups, right? I think about 20% of women in the global workspace own startups, while 50% are like senior leaders and as well as founders for engineering or tech organizations. So the point is that in as much as things are changing, this is an advocated change. This is a change that has been brought about because of the efforts of people who have fought for what we are seeing today in our modern day society, right? So I'm going to talk about a couple of things today. First of all, personally, I'm an engineer at heart, right? And what that means is I would always love solving technical problems. I think I was given some story about how I started my career, right? How it was a male-dominated area. And aside from when I was in Abuja, where I was working with Status Connected Business Solutions, I moved to a startup in 2016. And guess what again? We had so many guys and I was the only female. And after a while, the chief technology officer joined in. And to my greatest surprise, it was a female. And the truth is, at that time, I was the only one there were no tech communities like we have today. You wouldn't find tech communities anywhere. You would literally just maybe go online and find someone who is far away in China or someone who is in India doing some YouTube video, right? And that's the most you get from women who are even into this field, right? It was very hard to find someone from Nigeria. But here, I got someone who was the CTO of the company, and she was in Canada, but she was Nigerian. I was very impressed, but then I started to think, is it because this person is in Canada? Is it because she, doesn't live in Nigeria? And I wouldn't want to say that, it was because of the location, but then there's also the cultural and the traditional bias that we have as Nigerians, right? I'll dive into all of this later, but for now, um, I want to talk about the challenges, right, that I have experienced, especially first of all in engineering, and then I would also talk about the challenges that I've also experienced transitioning from, engineering to leadership. I'm an advocate for women tech network, right? So basically, we advocate for women who, want to get into tech, women who want to understand how this whole tech thing works, right? We help them, we show them the way, we help them to get into tech. And I've been doing that for a while, and this because of my interest, right? Again, looking at my experience from where I'm coming from and how I was able to fight it through. Shout out to all the men who, even though they were a different gender, they tried to help me as well to make the most of my career, right? And I know that today there's so many people who are actually suffering or going through, I wouldn't say suffering, but they're going through the same things that I went through, at that time. So basically I try to advocate for these people so they can also be, you know, they can also be able to navigate their environment and then make the most out of where they are. Okay. And so that being said, I would, as an engineer, right, my kind of engineering is more or less like a software engineer focused on software delivery. You don't find many women in that space, but these days things are changing. A lot of women are jumping in, and to my greatest surprise, sometimes when I step into offices, communities, or stuff, like, you literally see like a couple of women speaking up, jumping into different kinds of career paths that you wouldn't even naturally think that they would be interested in, right? So um I I was actually, after a while of being an engineer, after a while of working with, technology, trying to make the most of technology, I decided to transition, right, from engineering to leadership. Then I decided to have my own startup. I co-founded a startup with a friend, and then we started to work on the engineering framework, right? We started to build products together. And I can tell you a thing or two about leadership at the moment. I can tell you that it wasn't an easy experience transitioning from engineering to leadership. I can tell you that sometimes there's the possibility that when you're speaking as a woman in a male-dominated field, nobody wants to listen to you because they don't think that you're competent, right? And not just because you're not competent, it's just because that's how culture has made it, especially for those in Nigeria, right? So there's just a lot of challenges, right, that I have faced in my career. And some of them I have highlighted on my slide. So if you look, you see I have listed a couple of them, right? There's gender discrimination. For some it's passive, for some it's like active, but you just need to know your place as a woman, right? And some of them, they're really like subtle jabs that you get in workplaces, right? And then you just there's this subtle mentality that, the males will always do it better than females, which is definitely not true. There's a lot of biases and stereotypes around that, but you need to keep your head above the water and leap above things like that. For a long time there was a gender pay gap, even though like a lot of Fortune 500 companies have come together now to try to fix the issue and ensure that everyone earns the same thing as long as you're qualified to do the job. That has been sorted. And then we have things like women dealing with consistent imposter syndrome. I had a whole talk on imposter syndrome, right? I talked about how it messes with your mindset, how it makes you feel like you're not good enough, right? It makes you feel like, oh, I'm not there yet. There's so many people who are way better than me. And so because of that, you have to shrink yourself and give way to people who you can even do better than, people who you can even outshine, right? So these are like some of the challenges that I have highlighted, right? If you look at the next one, which is work-life balance, like really poor work-life balance. I remember my early days as well. My mom used to say something to me. She'd say, in Nigeria, for example, I'm very, very particular about Nigeria because we have a lot of Nigerians here. So she would say in Nigeria, we have a lot of females, or rather, she would say it like this, like have you ever seen women in engineering or women in tech? Then nobody really called it tech. It was programming, right? So she would say, how many women are you seeing in programming? Like, why is it that it's only you that is doing this? And the funny thing was, I went to Uniben, right? And there was a whole engineering unit, a whole engineering faculty in Uniben. And every time you go to the engineering faculty of Uniben, you realize that there are very few females that you find there, literally 2 or 3. And my mom had that kind of mentality. So she was like, so why are you the one there? So even if there are women that are going to be in programming, why does it have to be you? There was that bias, like, oh, what if you start to have children? What if you start to, what if you get married? How are you going to balance your life? Right? So that's another challenge. That's another fear that a lot of women have, that makes them, that when they think about, maybe getting into tech or even transitioning from one point to the other, they feel like, no, this is too much. I have to reduce myself. I don't have to get to that level. So these are things that we will talk about and how we can overcome these things. And to be fair, sometimes these are like real concerns, right? These are real concerns that people have. So again, there was lack of mentors, right? I need not say anything about workplace harassment. There was a whole thing on Twitter a couple of years ago, about workplace harassment, lack of mentors and support network. We also had that same issue, right, in the early days of career. The truth is, in recent times, many other people have risen up to advocate for others, right? And many of all these issues that we are going through, or many of all these issues that we used to experience, there's been a large decline, right? And it's not as prominent as it used to be in the tech communities. Okay. Now, so personally for me, I started to tell myself, that I could do this, right? I was better than, the kind of stereotype that people used to give me at that time. I was better than someone trying to box me. I could think outside the box. I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I continued at it. I started to build a lot of products. I started to contribute to, in rooms where people don't think that I can speak. I started to, give myself a voice. I started to speak where people don't think that, you could shine. Let me put it that way. So there's a couple of motivations, right, that helped me when I started to look into helping myself transition from engineering to, being able to manage not just people, being able to manage resources, being able to manage, priorities, technical challenges, being the bridge between stakeholders and, the business ops. I had to put myself into that. It wasn't an easy switch, to be honest. It wasn't an easy switch, but it was required at that time, right? And then it's something I'm currently and consistently living. So I can tell you for a fact that me trying to, transition was a major change for me in my career, right? So I tried to not just impact technical outcomes with my engineering abilities, I tried to affect other social outcomes as well. So I looked at a broader impact. I tried to reach out to, be not just look into the engineering side of things. I wanted to see things from the business perspective. I wanted to see, why are we making money the way we are making money? Okay, so why do we have this kind of data? Why do we need to manage this kind of data? And what would this data turn out to be in return, right? So I started to look into all of those things. I started to also drive like social change as well. I started to look into, making it easy for others, building a supportive environment. I dipped myself, like I dug myself into community work, right? I tried to help other people who were struggling as well. And the truth is, while I was trying to help these people, I was also helping myself. Okay. So there's the experience analyzing innovative solutions in engineering also helped me to be able to navigate into, leadership position. And that way, I was able to use my engineering experience to be able to manage engineering leadership, right? To be able to manage the people within my team. So, and like I said earlier, I said leadership is not an opportunity to abandon engineering. So what that means is, even though right now I'm on a board where I'm managing other engineers like myself, I'm also very much invested in my engineering capacity, right? I try as much as possible to be involved in the day-to-day activities of engineering, right? So so aside that, there's also the change in culture, gender, and race narrative, right? These things are the things that motivates me to want to chase leadership, right? Because take, for example, in situations where you work in a diverse community, right, or in a diverse environment, you realize that there's a culture, gender, and a race gap. And sometimes, because you're from Nigeria, the truth is, many people from other parts of the world don't even believe that Nigeria has pipe-borne water, right? So they have a mentality or a mindset that and a narrative that they have created for themselves that we need to change. You and I need to be the change that we want to see in the world, right? And so that's one thing I'm trying, that's one of my motivations. So I feel like if who can I say, if Mark Zuckerberg can do it, why can't I do it? Mark Zuckerberg was first an engineer. He was first, the hands-on engineer trying to write Facebook APIs and everything. And now guess where he is? He's basically sitting on the board, maybe almost doing nothing, but just making like, engineering and managerial contributions to the Facebook project, right? So sometimes it's not just being understanding the technical know-how and writing codes like a robot. Sometimes you need to step back and look at the bigger picture, see what's happening in there and see how you can be able to use the tools and the products that you've built to be able to affect or positively change your society, right? And I can tell you this for a fact because I've worked across many organizations and many sectors. I've been in maritime cybersecurity, I've been in global payment solutions, which I'm currently at now, also in ed tech at the same time. I've also been in like mobile healthcare solutions, providing mobile healthcare solutions for for young people and pregnant women and children. So these are products that I have actively been in, like heavily technically involved in. Now, at some point, I step back and then I'm looking at these products from the point of like not just the technical perspective, but also from the business ops. And then knowing fully well what the technical capacity requires, that gives me an opportunity to be able to have a voice and then speak, for other people to understand that, yes, this person has made a mark in their career. And this person is not just anybody, she's a woman, she's Black, in an underrepresented society, your voice will be heard because you have done the underground work, right? So these are my motivations, basically. These are the things that, keep pushing me to do better in my career. And I hope these things as well can also drive you and push you as well to do better in your career. So I'm going to give you some strategies that can help you to thrive, right, in leadership. I have about 6 here, but there's more, right? But these ones are like the ones that are very, very essential. It has worked for me. It will definitely work for you if you apply them correctly. So the first one is developing soft skills, right? So you cannot excel, not even in engineering, if you don't have soft skills. So soft skills are very, very essential, right? So you need to develop soft skills. And these soft skills we're talking about is empathy, communication, being able to communicate properly, communicate technical issues, communicate socially. They're very, very essential, right? And then being able to collaborate. Collaboration is also very essential, right? Because there are times where you have to work in really diverse teams and with multiple people from different cultural backgrounds. You need to be able to communicate clearly and be able to collaborate with them, right? And then there's also being able to build technical competency. And this one is very, very important. So there's a difference between just an engineer. I wouldn't say just a manager. I would say there's a difference between being a manager and then being an engineering manager. These are two different things. So make no mistakes, they're not the same thing. You cannot just have someone who did PMP, right? For those who don't know what PMP is the project management certification. You can't just do PMP and jump into an engineering managerial position. You will most likely fail. 90% of the time you're going to fail, right? For someone who wants to go into an engineering management position, you need to first build technical competency. You need to first be able to handle technical requirements. You need to first be able to merge business ops, like business operations and technical operations together. right? To be able to achieve the organizational goal. So not just anybody can become an engineering manager, right? But you can stand out as a woman. You can decide to say, okay, you know what, I'm not just going to focus on being a good software engineer, a good data scientist, a good scrum master, name it. You can also decide to build technical capacity to be competent enough to stand in engineering managing position, right? Where you can see things from a bigger picture. And then the third one I have here is to be goal driven, right? Set your clear objectives, right? Being able to monitor your progress, know what you're doing part time, make informed decisions. But these things are very essential to be able to take you from just an engineering position or just being an engineer to, a leadership position where you speak and then people want to listen because they know that you've done your homework, right? And then moving further to mentorship, right? Try to find mentorship, find people who you can learn from, find people who can teach you, find people who can coach you. And the truth is, what we all know right now is a derivative of what we learned from somewhere or someone, right? So you never really know. Even the things you think about, the things that are organic to you are things that you may have derived from, someone else. So find mentors, those who have walked that path before, and get them to show you their strategies, right, and how they got there. And the next one is investing in yourself. So spend as much time and resources to gather as much information as possible. Invest in yourself as a woman. The truth is, nobody would let you speak if you don't give yourself the opportunity to speak. Invest in yourself. The only limitation you have is you. And I think that's a lot of issues that so many people have and are experiencing. They don't put in the work, right? And this is part of the cost of imposter syndrome. Invest in yourself, that you have a lot of, to the point where you have enough confidence, right, to be able to speak confidently, and then you being able to manage confidence. That in itself would kill out imposter syndrome. Okay. So the last one is being able to empower people, right? Like I'm doing right now. I'm talking to you, I'm telling you about my experience. I'm providing support as much as possible to as many women out there who need help with their career. As a matter of fact, I literally just finished a free program where I was teaching DevOps, like basic beginner level DevOps, to people who want to learn and jump into the space. So the truth is, the more you're able to explain or teach or support or help other people, right, the more you can grow, or the more you're growing in this particular field, is very, very essential. Do your best as much as possible to provide support. Join communities, find people who need what you have, and then also try to draw from people who already have walked the path that you're looking to walk, right? And then this one is for women who, like, for everyone, right? For everyone who is, for those who are already in tech, for those who are not yet in tech. I've written down a couple of things as well to let you understand that, as a woman, you need to be able to own your career. You need to be able to tell yourself that, you know what, I can do this. You need to own your voice. If I didn't own my voice, I don't think I'll be in this field today. I think I probably would have given up when my mom told me, don't you want to get married? Don't you want to live a life? You're always in front of your computer. You spend like more than 24 hours in front of your computer sometimes, But I knew what I wanted at that time, and I kept chasing it. And the truth is, I've received the reward from those experiences at that time. So don't wait to be invited. Take your seat at the table. Own your voice. Speak when you need to speak. Don't feel like you're not meant to be in that room. Walk like you own the room, right? You need to give yourself a seat at the table. Otherwise, no one is going to do that for you. And then also, you need to also invest in relationships, right? Building networks, like I mentioned earlier. Finding mentors, very, very essential. Find people who have walked that path. Learn from them. if you're into like startups, if you're building solutions, look for sponsors, people who can actually help you transition you from one point to the other, right? And that will help you grow and move you to your next level. And then thirdly, it's being adaptable, right? Technology changes very fast, like literally very, very fast. I remember those days we started with writing HTML, CSS, things like jQuery, but now PHP even at that time. But now we have different kinds of programming languages. So you have things like Rust, like Python, like a lot of things have changed, right, compared to the way it used to be before. And now there's even AI, things like Copilot, helping people to walk and navigate the path that we sweated to get through. You know what I mean? So make use of technology. It's evolving. Evolve with it. Learn as much as possible. And also, if you find yourself in a room where you are being valued, please negotiate very well. It's very essential. Sometimes it helps you to measure how much progress you've made and how much value you have amassed over time, right? And lastly, I said pay it forward, right? Create pathways for those that are coming after you, right? So it's not just, like I said, it's not just about you being able to amass all the knowledge and all the information and take yourself to the next level. You're growing, you're being that person that you want to be in your career. Also invest in other people. That's how much you can be able to, it also helps you to measure your progress, right? It helps you measure your progress. So invest in other people, create a path for them, help people. There are people who are looking up to you, who see you as a role model. Help them. Okay, so I hope this has been very enlightening for you guys. I hope everyone here has something that they must have learned from this very short talk. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot it at me. If you feel like you want to maybe reach out to me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn at Cicitera002. Yeah, so I'm going to yield the mic now to the moderator. Thank you.
All right, that was a wonderful session. That was a session worthwhile. Thank you very much. I have question if others have question, and my question goes thus: what do you have to say to ladies out there that okay they have okay how will I place this? Okay. Oh, sorry. Some people are already targeting me that we have been speaking only about women. Human beings generally, both men and women, we actually face most of these things. Just that women are actually lagging behind in the tech space. That's why we are usually talking about women. So we're so sorry. We are feeling behind, but I believe everybody should be able to like use whatever the speaker has said for each and every one of us. Okay, so my question goes thus. It says that how okay let me generalize it. How what do you have to say to people out there that are willing to delve into tech but they are striving with um imposter syndrome? Like how do you like implore them to like engage, be, try to like mingle, because one of the things that I've seen in women, like most of the girls that have actually come to me because I've been in it before, and one of the things that I've actually noticed in them is that they have imposter syndrome and they don't believe in themselves, and some they kind of like get tired along the line. Tech is not something that you just come and within a week you're already an expert. It takes a lot of time and commitment. So what do you have to say to people like that?
So here's the thing. The first thing you need to keep in mind is no one is giving you that imposter syndrome. You're the one giving yourself. You're the one pressuring yourself, right? So I tell people who are beginners in tech and who are trying to get into the space, listen, first of all, you need to understand that it's a whole career, right? So what I mean is it's like a marathon. You're not running a sprint, right? You're not just going to get to the end in one day. So be patient with yourself. If you're a beginner in tech, it's okay. You don't have to know it all. Start from where you are and don't let people pressure you. The thing is, there are people who have been in this career for like 20 years, 50, no, maybe not 50, but there are people who have been here for a really long time. You don't expect those people to have the same knowledge that you, who has literally been here for 6 months, right? You don't expect to be at the same level of knowledge. So the thing is, many people want to compare themselves with those who have been in this field for a long time. No, it doesn't work like that. It's not rocket, it's not magic, right? It's not magic. Take your time. Take your time. Know your level at every point in time. Be consistent in your growth. Consistency is key to everything, right? Be consistent. Let it be that you are the only person that you are in competition with. Don't compete with people. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your learning progress. The only thing is just be consistent. And it's okay if you don't know some certain things. It's fine. Nobody knows everything. There are people who have been in this career for a long time and they still don't know things. There's a lot of things I don't know as well, right? And it's okay. We are human beings. Nobody expects you to know it all. So imposter syndrome stems from that pressure that you're putting on yourself. You need to put it down. Okay. As soon as you put it down and then you start to apply that patience and consistency in your career, best believe you won't realize that you used to have imposter syndrome at some point in time. I also used to suffer from the same, right? When I had stand-ups and then you go to the meetings and you see people coming to talk about the things that they have built, the things they have done, and you look at what you have done, you've literally done almost nothing, right? It's okay. Your journey and their journey is not the same. Embrace your own journey. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Samuel, I can see your hand up. You have a question.
Yes. Sorry. So it's a kind of like how will I put it? Okay, so I have this, or there's this thing I've noticed around my community, and I currently lead a community called Google Developers Group on campus for State University. And I got to notice something about the ladies, right? So on this call, you've mentioned about discrimination, or the space has been dominated by men, and it looks like there's no space for women, at least when tech was starting, so to speak, in Nigeria, right? And I've also come to realize that, okay, there are some opportunities lately that have been opening up that have no gender, or like put it, that has no gender boundary, and it's open for everyone. But yet, I see the low turn up from ladies, despite the fact that it's an open something. For example, I've gone for two events. The one I went for was by GT Bank, and the number of ladies that turned up were much, and I loved it. In fact, there was a particular team, it was an hackathon. There was a particular team of ladies, like they were all ladies engineers, and it was wow. It was wowing. It was not surprising, but it was wowing, right? Then the other one I went for, I can count the number of ladies that came on my palm. So I had to compare both scenarios, like, okay, what's happened? These were both open opportunities. So why do we have low turn up of women in one and high turn up of women in one, despite the fact those both events have no gender boundary? So my own question now from all this is just that, is it now about opportunities now, or about the ladies, so to speak, in tech that are not responding to such opportunities?
So that's a good question, Samuel. So here's the thing. The thing is, it goes both ways, right? First of all, I mentioned something about gender bias, right? Many women have already been filled with the mentality that they're not smart enough to be techies.
Hmm.
Okay. So that is one of the major problems that we're trying to tackle in modern day. Like, we are smart enough to be techies, we're smart enough to be engineers, we're smart enough to be, leaders in tech, right? But not many people know that, because that's not the narrative that has been sold in the past couple of years. So things are changing now, right? I believe they have changed to a certain extent, but in the next couple of years, let's say in the next 4 or 5 years, based on the tech awareness that's happening, right now, things will be better. Women will be showing up for more tech events, and women will realize that yes, they can also do this as much as the men can do it. Okay. And then on the flip side, I don't think it has anything to do with the events themselves, right? It's just is it, I'll see it as more like a societal thing. Like there's a societal bias that has been sold to us, and it will definitely take a while for the stone to be rolled away. So it's a work in progress. Give it time.
All right then.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe she asked you most of our questions. Do we have anyone that has question? Anyone else? Anybody else? Question? All right, Mr. Ofe, right? You can take the mic.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for the wonderful, um, talk. Yeah, I really learned a lot. Thank you so much. I just want to ask, I'm also into DevOps, but not fully into DevOps, right? I'll say I'm more of a cloud engineer, So I just want to ask, I know when you were talking, you talked about um, that recently you completed a training for beginners DevOps. So I just want to ask, is there any place I can find the resource for that? And yeah, I just wanted to ask about that.
Oh, thank you very much for your questions, Ofe. And the truth is, in as much as this is talking to women and telling them how they can thrive in tech, and this is not talking to men, it's okay. We're all one community. So the thing is, for now, that's session has been concluded, right? So I'll probably start another one, pretty soon. It's a very free session. It's just me having fun with people who want to learn, right? I just, point them in the right direction, show them what they need to know, share materials and all that. So definitely you can send me a message on LinkedIn. Definitely whenever I start the next set, I would let you know.
All right. Thank you so much.
No worries.
All right, thank you very much. Those that are raising their hands, or kindly put your hands down because you're taking the mic already. Thank you very much for the wonderful session. So our able speaker who took her time to impact in us our knowledge and encourage us. All right, to the wonderful GDG on campus XU members that are on board today. Thank you very much for attending. I can see that you guys turn up very well today. Thank you very much for attending. To our wonderful partner out in Berkeley, Africa. Thank you very much. And to Legacy Lab for pulling this up for us for free. Thank you very much, Legacy Lab. We are really grateful. All right, so we've come to the end of today's series. See ya on next month, last Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on all social media handles, LinkedIn at Legacy Lab NG, on YouTube at Legacy Lab NG, on Instagram at legacylab.ng. Thank you very much. For you to have a review of all of the series that we've been having, just go to our YouTube channel. You're going to have a full recap of all of the videos that we have been having right from January to now. Thank you very much once again. See you all September last Thursday. Bye-bye.